There's only one GPU that I think actually makes sense to buy in the current market. Now, I'm not saying it's the best deal ever, but it's like the least bad deal, and it'll really get the job done solidly for a 1080p gaming experience. I'm talking about not compromising on the settings, at least other than maybe tweaking one or two things down to high instead of ultra that you'll barely notice and saves you 20% performance. And no, it's not the card behind me right now that we're looking at. It's not the 6500 XT. See, that's the problem. If you go too low on price, then you just get a card that isn't good enough. At least isn't good enough for what I would consider like worth buying. Just hang on to something old, and if you don't have any GPU right now, guys, sorry. I mean, it just kind of sucks. So this price, things just don't make sense. But as you scroll up, what can you actually get for your money? We're hunting for deals here. And speaking of deals, before we go any farther, let's talk about the sponsor for today's video. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I don't do a lot of paid promotion stuff, but I do always highlight good deals on tech-related products. And today those two things happen to line up. I got a sponsorship opportunity here from Atlas VPN, $1.99 per month for 3 years of VPN service. And there's a link in my description, so if you're gonna do this, go click that one, the one in my description. That makes me look good. Anyway, but why would you want a VPN service, and what are you getting for $1.99 per month? Well, I could highlight the marketing materials, but I actually pulled this slide from an independent review over at Tech Radar, and they highlight one of the main reasons why a lot of people want one of these is unlock region-locked content. But you also get like increased security, privacy, that kind of stuff. But we could unblock things like Amazon Prime Video, BBC iPlayer, Disney Plus that have region-locked content, but you only want to do that if you're not going to slow it down by going through the VPN server. So they also highlighted the excellent download speeds, exceptional affordability, unlimited simultaneous connections, and this also is available on all sorts of devices, not just PC, and it's $1.99 per month. It's a great deal. Let's go back to our scheduled programming. So anyway, as we scroll up here, the next thing that I see is the RX 6600. But as I'm scrolling up, let's actually just like slow down for a second. What list am I even looking at here? Well, this is actually PC Part Picker. And no, that doesn't search the entire market. And it's not searching used stuff either. This is searching major retailers. And it's searching stuff that's actually in stock right now, because I'm not simulating the like get on a waiting list for a year and a half and maybe you'll get something, or maybe you'll win Newegg Shuffle when their deals don't suck, because honestly, even the Shuffle deals suck a lot of the time. Watch my rant about that. Anyway, what I've selected here is all of the RTX cards, and so that's 20 series and 30 series. And then I've selected all of the AMD 6000 series cards. And then I've just done a low to high price search. So we can actually compare what are you actually getting for your money. And here's the thing. If you're spending around $200 to $300, the only option on a new GPU is a 6500 XT, and they just kind of suck. That's it. They're not good enough. It's a waste of money. But when you scroll up just a little bit higher, you get to $450 price point where we see the RX 6600. And this is where it makes sense, because you're actually getting really good performance here. And then as we scroll up, it takes a long time before you even see a 3050, which is going to, on the average, perform worse, significantly worse than an RX 6600 for $100 more. And you're like, but it has DLSS. You'll need DLSS just to catch up. It's not worth it, guys. And on neither of these cards is the ray tracing performance going to be worth turning on, at least in my opinion. Now, I'm going to roll some footage here so you can see what I mean as far as this GPU being absolutely a solid performing 1080p graphics card. And the key there is 1080p. You could play games at 1440p here, but at this point, I just don't think it makes sense. The problem is to scroll into the price range where you'd get more solid 1440p performance, you're just paying way more money, and I honestly just can't recommend it. Like, you do what you gotta do. If you want a game at 1440p right now and you want a graphics card upgrade, you're gonna have to pay a lot more money. Well, you guys are rolling my pre-recorded footage. I'm gonna scroll down and be like, for 1440p, I mean, the 6600 XT would do a sort of reasonable job, and we do see those for less than $600. So if you have to go that route, like currently as I'm scrolling through, I see one for $560, although a lot of times they'll cost more than that. They have been trending down a bit, like the 6600s though. But the problem is, to really get more solid 1440p performance, I would really recommend a 3060 Ti or a 6700 XT. But as I'm scrolling through my prices here, guys, Oh, the first 3060 Ti I'm seeing pop up on my list is $820. Now you can get them better than that if you like win Newegg Shuffle, get one for $600. But I'm talking if you actually just want to find a GPU that just sits in stock, the 6600 is really the way to go, because for $460 you get a very solid 1080p gaming experience. And then you have to jump up to $800 and some dollars, almost doubling your price just to get a more solid 1440p experience. And honestly, if you're gonna go at that range, I'd almost recommend just break the bank. Buy yourself a 6800 XT or something like that, and just crush 1440p for years to come, other than ray tracing, although you can do some ray tracing. That's a whole other topic. So the point here, guys, is just that in the current market, prices do suck, but the 6600 is kind of the light in the, I don't know, it's not a silver lining. Honestly, guys, like, it still does kind of suck price-wise. It's just actually affordable in like a sub $1,000 build. And the best thing I could recommend is if you have an older GPU, like maybe a GTX 1060 that's still getting the job done, well, you could sell that used for $200 or $300 and actually pay for a huge amount of this upgrade. And compared to a GTX 1060, this is actually going to be basically doubling the performance, at least pretty close. It could vary title by title, but you will see a huge upgrade from a 1060. And if you're on something worse than this, like, let's actually pop back out maybe here for some relative performance chart. You know I love my relative performance chart from Tech Power Up if you follow the channel. Anyway, relative performance-wise, the 6600 at 1080p actually is better on average than a GTX 1080, let alone a 1070 Ti, 1070, 1660 Super, 1660, better than a 1650 Super. It's better than an RX 580, better than 1060, and we're talking now, like I said, looking at almost just barely over half the performance of the RX 6600. Now, if you're worried about switching to AMD, I did a whole video on that. You could take a look, but the main thing that you'd want to think about is really just if you do any kind of productivity that needs Nvidia. There are certain applications that are just kind of, they're programmed around Nvidia. That's just the way it is. But the vast majority of people who are just gaming and using their PC for day-to-day use, that's utterly irrelevant for. And no, most of you aren't actually streamers. So I know people are worried about that streaming encoding, and it's like, well, are you actually streaming for a living? Because if not, then honestly, AMD's streaming performance with their encoder is good enough. And if you're just recording content, if you just up the bitrate so your file sizes are a bit bigger, it looks just fine. And that's honestly what I do on my channel when you look at my my benchmark and graphics testing videos, which again, I've just been showing you, and that was recorded directly on the RX 6600. I hope all of you have an excellent day.